Yo, what's up, fellas, ladies, gentlemen, children of all ages? There will be no Dick Shiner tonight. Got a little clash. Can you guys hear the clash in the background? My house band. Brent Richards is here. Dan's here from the NYC. Drew's here from the land of polka, Nebraska. Larry Gidlin's here. Good evening, Rob. How are you, my friend? How is how's Colorado? Guys hitting the slopes yet? Dean, what's up, man? Dean's here from the left side of Pennsylvania. MJH821. Good afternoon. You are somewhere on the West Coast, I assume. I'll be on the West Coast next week. Looking forward to actually, I'm not looking forward to it at all. Let's look at some junk. You guys want to look at some junk? We'll look at some junk here. Let's see what we got here. Try to pop this fish up on the screen. The box. There's the box. There's the elbow. Jim, how are you, sir? How's everything on the shores of Lake Merritt? Everything going all right over there? Junk. This is not junk. I believe a listener sent this to me. This is the 81. Shows you where we were in the hobby back in the day. This is the 81 scratch offs. I have several of these sets, and they're all ripped apart. Every one of them's ripped apart. Topps insisted that we still play games with our cards, scratch stuff off, tear them up. Again, like I said, last week or previously, 81, 82 Topps hockey, travesty of a set, having to scratch off to find the names. 80, 81 basketball, having to separate the perforations. We did it. These did not survive my childhood, but these were sent to me by a kind listener of the show. There's a Steve Garvey in there. Let's see if we can hold these up. Mike Cargrove, Rice, Palmer, who claims he's 98% Irish. Dan Meyer. Look at that. Look at that. Fine. Mariners get up. Buddy Bell and Al Oliver, 2 Rangers on the same card. 2 Rangers for the price of 1. Ted Simmons, Ellis Valentine, Art Howe, Doug Flynn, Lee Mazzilli, 2 Mets, and the Garv, who apparently is a nice guy. I don't believe it. So there's some 81 goodness, early 80s. Showed last week I showed the Topps comics, but this is a unused wrapper. All the other ones had gum inside of them, but this has never been used. So an uncut Nolan Ryan, of course. Me and my dang Nolan Ryan collection. 47 years in Colorado. Now you're in the Nova. My son, Larry, hangs out with a lot of Novans due to his current situation in college. Nova, one big, massive suburb. People aren't from there. They're all from everywhere else, and they all end up in Nova, apparently. Brent, yep, we got some fun stuff. It's not junk. You're right. How about the 87 Jiffy Pop Stars? There is Ryan Sandberg. Of course, unlicensed to the major leagues, but licensed to the Players Association. Ryan Sandberg, 9/18/59. He was born. That's a boomer. And those are his stats from the 1986 season. So we have Ryan Sandberg, Jack Morris in there. I like the little balls here, the little baseball logos. Keith Hernandez, George Brett, Don Mattingly, Ozzie Smith, Dwight Gooden, Pete Guerrero, Lou Whitaker, Roger Clemens, Lance Parrish from Yorba Linda, Ricky Henderson. There's Fernando, Darryl Strawberry, Mike Scott, Jim Rice, and Wade Boggs. That's the complete set, if I'm not mistaken, of the 1987 87 Jiffy Pops. I'm wondering if they fit into top loaders. It looks like they do, so maybe I'll try to put them in top loaders eventually. I've got some of these discs in top loaders. We saw the wiffle balls last week, so we'll see what happens there. Moving on to the greatest Hall of Famer of all time, Harold Baines. These are Jay's discs. Jay's discs. Jim bought a bunch of Jiffy Pop back in the day, trying to complete the 86-87 set. Jiffy Pop was, boy, I'm surprised more houses didn't get burned down back then. Surprised more fingerprints didn't get burned off and all that stuff, but it sure was fun. Nova means something else to people from Philly. You're darn right, Dan. 3 national championships. Should have been more had some of those kids not turned pro. Talking to you, Jalen Brunson. It could have been 3 in a row or 3 out of 4 years. So, Villanova, 1985. I'm going to say 16 and 18, 2016 and 2018, perhaps. Danny spent a lot of time up at Madison Square Garden, Big East tournament time. Great times up there. Back when Chris Mullen held the rock, Walter Berry played center at St. John's. Willie Glass was a forward. Syracuse had Cycli and Dwayne Washington. Derek Coleman ran it up there sometimes. Providence had Billy Donovan. Georgetown had Patrick Ewing, David Wingate. All sorts of great players back then. Good times. Good times. MJH821 is in California. Where are you at? Southern California, Middle California, somewhere in California. So this is, I don't know what these are, but these are probably likely 1987. Oh, it says 1986 right up top there. So these are Jay's. I assume that's a shopping setup, probably the Midwest, because the Midwest really like to have their oddball items. Let me see if I can crank this down a little bit here, get it closer. It sure is uncomfortable. And I had a system, but the system sucks. Baines, Cecil Cooper, great hitter. Jody Davis, he was a Cubby. Bob Dernier representing the Cubs. So yeah, if it's not becoming obvious, this was a Chicago area thing. Richard Dotson, Sean Dunston, Carlton Fisk, Jim Gantner. Apparently they stretched up into Wisconsin. Ozzie Guillen, Teddy Higuera, cult favorite, Ron Kittle, Paul Molitor, Keith Moreland, former Philly, Ernie Riles, there's old Rhino, Tom Seaver, Lee Smith, Rick Sutcliffe. That dude kind of got around. Greg Walker is probably the only guy I know zero about, and of course, Robin Yount. So that's Jay's something, most likely a grocery store. Jay's Food. It's an American manufacturer of snack products, including potato chips, popcorn, and pretzels. Thank you, Jim. MJH is out of the Bay Area, but a lifetime Pirates fan. I'll be at Moscone Center on Monday through Wednesday next week. So I'll be out your way. I'll be getting me some In-N-Out at Fisherman's Wharf because that's the closest In-N-Out burger to downtown. Blondie's Pizza used to be in Berkeley, used to be in San Francisco. Used to be my favorite pizza in that area. Good evening, Terry Alexander. I'm not really sorting. I'm just kind of like going through some of the oddball stuff. I think I showed the 82s the other day, but these are the 83s. These big ass cards. Lots of legends. John Stearns at one point had the single season stolen base record for catchers. I'm going to say that was 78. He broke that record or set that record. Sundberg. There's Peter Edward. Raleigh Fingers. That's epic. Tony Pena. Dave Winfield. Tim Lawler. I haven't heard that name in a while. Look at Rod Carew. Looks like Salami from the White Shadow. Terry is sorting. What are you sorting, Terry? Let us know. Toby Hara. Suter. My favorite player, Carl Michael. Dale Murphy, Bob Horner, he could drink a beer or two. Davey Concepcion, Dave Steeb, Lance Parrish. Here's one for you. Dave Steeb might be the greatest White Sox or the greatest Blue Jays player ever. Try to convince me otherwise. They've had some great players go through there. Ricky and Winfield and Clemens and Jack Morris and a nice young crop now. But I would say Dave Steeb, perhaps the greatest ever Toronto Blue Jay. Let me know what you think. Blondie's in Berkeley was the best pizza. There was one downtown, right on Powell. It was right next to Rasputin Records, if you know anything about downtown San Francisco. I spent a lot of time in San Francisco back in the day. But Blondie's was good, real good pizza. Let's look at some discs, okay? I got some blank backs here. I don't know. I'm completely unprepared here. I want to say these are 76 blank backs. I don't know why I'm completely unprepared. But I'm unprepared. Dave Cash. There's Mike Schmidt. Of course, these discs were everywhere at Mike Schechter Associates. Made discs for everybody, but these are the blank backs. So some real legends here. Schmitty Bench, Freddie Lynn. That picture was used for his 75 card. Thurman Munson, Hank Aaron, Lou Brock, Carlton Fisk. There's the Garv, Frank Robinson, Brooks Robinson, Jim Palmer, Tom Seaver, Steve from Mars is right there, and Reggie Jackson. And then a few add-ons, but that's a pretty legendary bunch right there. Pretty legendary bunch. There's Dave Cash, Larry Boa, and the Bull, Greg Lazinski. Again, these are Mike Schechter and Associates. And if I were a good host, play some music while I put my glasses on. I have a bad cable here somewhere. 1976, MSA. All right, enough of the Clash. So yeah, there's some blank backs there. Again, there's all sorts of Crane potato chips and Isleys and all sorts of fun stuff back then. Mike Schechter really had a racket going. He had some sort of pictures on Marvin Miller or something. And here's some more blank backs. These are 76 as well. So apparently I have a lot of blank backs. So might have been sent to me as well, but full set of blank backs. Here's the Pepsi glove discs. I haven't whipped these out in a while, so I'll bore you folks with some Pepsi glove discs. What's up, Dan? How's Korea over there? War. Top 5 Blue Jays of War. Steve, you know what? I forgot about Roy Halladay. Tony Fernandez. Bautista is probably after my time. And Carlos Delgado, of course. Well, I would think Delgado would be higher. I would put Delgado in the top 3. Tony Fernandez was there a long time, obviously. So Steve, Holiday, Fernandez, Bautista, and Delgado. Terry's going through some boxes from the last bulk purchase, current box, mostly 90s football. I have a ton of 90s football, probably 5,000 cards, maybe even more. But I collect them, but I don't grab them. That's for sure. Steve, one hitters. I want to say Steve had like 5 one hitters, maybe somewhere close to 5. Maybe I'm wrong. Drew, maybe I'm wrong. Dan was looking at Tony Fernandez in Baseball Reference, better than I remember. Tony Fernandez was a good player. I don't know how long he played in San Diego, but I consider him a Blue Jay all the way for sure. 5. All right, so I was pretty close. I was awake in the 80s, even though I was listening to Iron Maiden and Judas Priest. Pepsi glove discs. Like I said, I showed these off before. One of the fun things about these are there are some variations, and the variations are just, see if I can find the variations. Variations are Schmitty and Reggie Jackson, which is right up my sleeve. Yeah, handsome man right there. I would have Carly Stremski's babies. Probably not. Let's see here. Anyway, here's an example of a variation. Forgive the dodgy camera work here. So there's a Reggie in orange and a Reggie in, I would call that mauve, a Reggie in green, and a Reggie in blue. Him and Schmitty were the only ones that had variations, and I don't know. See if I can find the Phillies guys. That guy look familiar right there. That happy face. Schmitty, I think, is just, here we go. Here's Schmidt. So Schmitty is orange. Schmitty also is teal. That's not teal. That's like, that's green. That's blue, and that's a plum there. And Schmitty has two different blues. So Schmitty's got more than Reggie, but fun little variations. These are cheap to get, probably, but they're hard to store. So I would love to see if somebody slabbed these at some point. I think I sent one or two of these to Ray once, just to dare him to, Ray from Philly, dare him to send one to PSA. Not sure if he did that. All right, so that's a little fun stuff from the 80s and 70s. There's some 95 Topps postcards or postcards. Try to keep some of the oddball stuff together. Yeah, so let's get rid of that box. So I plan on going on into my 70s box of football cards here, which may not be too exciting for most people, but I'll finish up with a box of slabs. If anybody out there has the courage to tell me how many slabs I have within maybe 5 slabs, maybe I'll send you a t-shirt or something. I am not a slab collector, but I will throw that challenge out there. If somebody can guess how many slabs I have. I don't have a lot of slabs, I'll put it that way, but maybe somebody can guess how many slabs I have. Let's go back here. Dan's been to the Garden many times. Last time I was at the Garden, Dan, was Billy Joel, my company, whose sweatshirt I'm wearing right here. Four Wall Entertainment. We do the lighting for the Billy Joel tour. So last time I was there was a couple of years ago, watching Billy Joel. Took my wife. Difficult place to work. We played there with Janet Jackson. We played there 4 times. 4 nights we played there. And we had to tear it in, put it in and tear it out 3 different times because of basketball. And the last time we played, it was 3 times or 4 shows within 2 weeks or something, 1993. New Year's Eve 1993 was the last show, and we had 17 trucks, 14 buses, downtown Manhattan on New Year's Eve. Not a good idea. So, yeah. Garden I'm not a big fan of, but I get its historical importance. You had season tickets for the Knicks from 89 to 99, so you got to see John Starks and Patrick Ewing and Charles Oakley. And was Pat Riley coach back then? I would imagine Pat Riley was the coach back then. Let's see here. Terry is like he said, he's sorting some football. Blondie's in Berkeley. We talked about that. Intern Philadelphia General, 74-75 before Colorado. Broad Street Bullies. That was a heady time, 74 to, I guess, 76. Philly went bonkers. We moved out of Philadelphia in January of 74, but when they won the Stanley Cup, we went back into town to celebrate. I remember my dad loading us in to the station wagon and driving back downtown, and the place was essentially on fire. Yeah. So we solved the mystery of Dave Steeb. Dave Concepcion was mentioned in a Family Ties episode back in the 80s. That I didn't know. That's pretty impressive. He was from Venezuela. Terry, we know he's going through his boxes of 90s. Dan chiming in there with the top 5. Molitor was there for a short bit. Yep, sure was. Fernandez also played in Japan. It was Tony Fernandez from San Pedro de Macorís. I assume he was, right? There was most of those players. Lloyd Mosby was a great player, and Jesse Barfield was a great player. I think Jesse Barfield's pretty active on Twitter. Do we think that Mosby and Barfield didn't play in Japan, right? I'd be surprised if they did. Yep, there's a Munson in there, Dan. Got a lot of Munsons floating around. That green is olive. That's what I was looking for, olive. I'm in the lighting business, and I could tell you what color code that is for Roscoe, who makes gels, or Lee, who makes gels. But I was struggling with that olive or avocado, I guess would be an acceptable answer. Stuke, what's up, Scott? How are you, sir? Hope you're enjoying your snow out there in the Midwest. They say it's going to get real nasty. Orlando's here. Orlando went for a nice walk this morning. Orlando, next time you go for a walk, let's zoom in on those signs. I'm sure those signs by your little ponds there are telling us about alligators or something, right? Steve had 3 one-hitters in 1988. Phenomenal. That was a great team. I mean, we talk about Mosby and Fernandez and Alfredo Griffin. Um, I guess there was another guy pitching there, Jimmy Key, right? So there were some good players on that team along with that outfield. George Bell went through there as well. Surprised they didn't win more, but obviously they won in the early 90s for sure. Orlando, Drew, Scott saying out to everybody. Dean thinks I have 12 slabs. Is that what you're saying? You've seen gold glove cards, or you've seen the Pepsi glove cards and PSA slabs. Okay, that's interesting. Wonder how they managed to do that, because PSA has a hard time with just regular size cards. It looks like it sometimes by putting baggies on them and stuff like that. They call it Mylar. Orlando's guessing 75 slabs. Drew is guessing 53.26 slabs. Steve definitely underrated. I hear Steve's name come up a lot in Hall of Fame talk. And Mickey's here from South Jersey. What's up, Mickey? $1, Bob. What's up? How you doing? Oh boy, Texas is chiming in here. Houston, Texas, with the $1, Bob. 10 slabs, 8 slabs, 70 slabs, 50 slabs. Rob, you've seen a lot of my slabs. I don't know what you're talking about. Riley was part of that time up there in New York. Okay, I saw John Starks dunk in person. Yeah, I guess he was a dunker. I guess he could have dunked, right? I mean, if Spud Webb's dunking, Starks was probably a couple inches taller. I saw Spud Webb in the early 90s at a strip club in Atlanta. He was having a good time. And he's one of those guys that likes to go by himself, I guess, just hang out, meditate in the high heel ballet. You saw Starks at the Target Center. Target Center, is that still the arena up there? They had to have built a new arena up there, I would imagine. Target Center's been around a long, long time. Used to go through the Target Center a lot. In fact, Scott, I've also been to the Met Center, if you can believe that. Met Center might have had the ugliest seating color configuration. Dan, you can talk all day and you probably wouldn't be able to come up with the colors for the Met Center that they had back in the day. It's a mall now, right? But back then it was good times. You're saying Mosby and Barfield played for the Yomiuri Giants, or you're talking about Fernandez, Mosby, and Barfield there? All right, Dean, you are currently in the under. I can guarantee you that. 12 slabs. Okay. 101 slabs from Dan in Korea. And Dan in New York says there is one Starks dunk that is legendary. The one over Jordan and Grant. It's a poster that he signs constantly. Don't see a lot of these guys. I don't know if they're signing up there in New York. I know there's a big show coming up in Westchester, but do those guys, I know LT signs a lot, but do those old basketball players like Oakley and all those guys come out for signings, or just doesn't? Maybe I'm not paying attention, but it seems like the basketball players are a little bit behind on the curve there. Scott, I gave both my daughters Timberwolves game used Spud Webb uniform. Did not know Spud Webb played for the Timberwolves. I just knew him as a Hawk, obviously. Funky colored seats. I want to say green, yellow, like a bad yellow, and white. Maybe there was another color. Mosby and Barfield. All right, let's talk some football here. I've got a friend out there in Chicago, Lee, who got me started on the 71. Let's get you to the stage, big guy. 71 Kellogg's. I know, or the 70 Kellogg's. I know we talked about baseball Kellogg's, but of course, the football people were doing it as well back then. So 70 football, I got a lot of them. Just a lot of cool cards. You can see some of the stadiums back there. I don't know what that is. That doesn't look like Jim Nance would have been a Patriot, right? Boston Patriots. So keep in mind that they did this a lot, Kellogg's. Obviously, it was two different pictures. There was a front picture and a back picture to give you the perspective. And the stadiums didn't always match. I know that from the baseball in the 70s, when you'd have a player in their home uniform that wasn't a Phillies player, and the Veteran Stadium would be the background. So a lot of interesting backgrounds here. Look at that. Tell me Billy Kilmer I hate throwing cards away. So until a nicer option comes along, that's my Billy Kilmer. Larry Wilson looks like Macaulay Culkin, Jan Steiner. I got a lot of Jan Steiner. Mike Garrett, he was a Heisman Trophy winner before or after OJ. I want to say before, right? Again, the 70s were filled with a bunch of drunk uncles. I haven't whipped that out in a while, but a lot of fun cards. There's Gale Sayers. I imagine Gale Sayers would have been playing. If you look closely back there, you can see some other, well, you might not be able to see it, but there's other players back there that almost look like Vikings in the background. Bob Lilly, Johnny U, that does look like perhaps Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. Tommy Nobis, Carl Lockhart. Look at this handsome chap. That's Greg Cook. That's his Tinder pick. I got Topps posters inserts, and we know baseball was making posters back then, but so was football, Topps for football. I have a lot of these, and I sell a lot of these. And the 70s are kind of cool. They're a little bit more. They're not pictures, but they're drawings, and they're pretty fun. So there's Gale Sayers poster. San Francisco 49ers players trying to catch Gale Sayers. Gale Sayers won't let it happen, but fun little posters. These were inserts, 24 posters in the series. If I'm not mistaken, I have them all. I keep them in top loaders. I keep them in penny sleeves. I should probably do better, but I sell a lot of these. I have a lot of them on my eBay store and so on. 1970 Topps football is my favorite football set. I'll try to whip out some fun cards here. Here's Bart Starr. I just think the design is absolutely incredible. I think the poses are nice. Bubba Smith, I think, without looking too hard, Bubba Smith's the only one I can really remember that doesn't have a very good picture. It looks like a proof of life picture where he's up against a cinder block wall. Bad lighting. Here's the backs of the cards. I love that that kind of lavender, orange, and white. Just in case you know, folks, lavender goes with every color there is. It doesn't clash. So you put lavender on there, it works with everything. So anyway, I think these cards are absolutely phenomenal. The 1970 Topps football. I mean, here's an example of some of these poses. You look at some of the Steelers like Otto and Ben Davidson and stuff like that. They're just really fun posters. There's Gale Sayers there. I'm sorry, fun pictures. Fran Tarkenton, he was a Giant then. Sorry, guys. Dan and Stu can fight out. And, of course, this is known for OJ's rookie card as well. As we know, folks, from our football card history, usually players made their debut. Here's Bubba Smith's picture. Usually players made their rookie card debut. They're in their second year, if they're lucky, sometimes even longer. So, yeah, that's it. There's Larry Zonka right there. I just think the 70 set is just absolutely gorgeous. Look at Johnny U. That's what I thought. You guys are stunned in silence. There's the late great Dick Butkus right there. So anyway, that's 1970. I have Fred Dreyer. He was Hunter on NBC. Probably must see TV. I think I have about 12 left of this set. I just recently did an audit. I think there's 263 or 265. Recently did an audit, and I was way off with cards. I had cards in there. I had cards on my checklist. Here's what I need right here, as a matter of fact. So I had cards. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I had cards that were marked off that weren't. I had cards that were white that I had. I had cards that were white that I had in my eBay store. So I had to do a complete audit on 70 Topps just yesterday because it was a mess. I had to yank cards off of my store. And unfortunately, I could tell you on here, Carl Eller, Bill Berge, Tom Dempsey, I believe, Buck Buchanan, and Allworth. Those are cards that I had sold over the last couple of weeks, and I need them. So I'm a bit absent-minded when it comes to that stuff. Next is the Topps 1970 Topps glossy football or football glossy. These were inserts. They came with the cards, obviously. And again, Topps was doing some fun things in the 70s and the 60s. These have a nice little shine on them, a nice little, obviously, a gloss. Tom Matty, Mac Percival, Mel Renfro, McCullough, Bart Starr, Jack Snow. He was not on Games of Thrones. You're thinking of Jon Snow. Bromwich, Jurgensen, Floyd Little, George Webster. I think Little was the first one I got. So Lenny Dawson, Bob Greasy, and theme of the day, if you're following me on Twitter, that guy right there. So that is a set of 33. I probably have about half of them right now. All right, let's chat before we go to 1971, shall we? Stuke's telling me Met Center was green, gold, white, and black. Yep, that sounds right. That fourth color, black. Even they wouldn't put blue in there. But yeah, it looked bad. I have a poster, I think I showed last week or something, of the North Stars team picture, and you can kind of see it in there. Boston Patriots played at Fenway for a little. I think they did, or did they play over at Nickerson? Maybe that was the USFL team, Nickerson Stadium or whatever. I got some issues here, folks, if you don't mind. I have to plug in my computer, so give me a second. I got like 2% battery left. Oh, man, back in the game. Orlando, you love the old football cards. I never see you show them off, but it's good to know that you do. And you especially where you come from, man, you guys had some history back then in the 70s. Some great players, Zonka and Kick and Morris and Bonacani and Greasy and your Premium and Larry Seipel, whatever his name was, and Jake Scott and Dick Anderson and all that stuff. So fun stuff back then. Jim Dunaway was on a team. Terry's saying that his cousin Jim Dunaway was on a team at the time with OJ. Was that the Bills or was that the 49ers or was that USC, I wonder? 71, we have some Kellogg's, and this gets a little more bright as we go along in the decade. Here's the 71, some 71 Kellogg's. And this is kind of what we're used to with the baseball. Again, as usual, they tried to cram a lot of information in the back, but hard to read for old people. Fred Dryer again. Ken Bowman, Bo Scott, Junior Gilliam, Johnny Robinson, Curly Cope, Dick Butkus. That looks like, I don't know what stadium that is, but that's no stadium that the Bears played in. Look at Larry Smith, and let's see if we can get in there. He's got a wisp of hair running from his head down to his eye. Yeah. Look up that Larry Smith 71. John Brody, Donnie Anderson, and Al Atkinson. That looks like it's Shea Stadium, and that's pure Jets football. Alan Page is in there, of course. Alan Page is in the 70. Yes, he is rookie in 1970. Yeah, good call. Great card. Great line, obviously, Page and Marshall and Eller. Don't know who else they had. Paul Krause. Maybe I'm wrong there. Ron Yeri was an offensive lineman, all that fun stuff. So Orlando loves the 71 football set. So we talk about like 71 Topps baseball being difficult. 71 Topps football is difficult condition-wise too, because no white borders on that set either. Card number 1, Johnny U. And I think it's a great set. Look at the little quarterback over there. Fun little card there. You can read everything. There's no ambiguity as to what his name is, what team he plays for, his position, or what conference he is in. More importantly, I love the backs. I love that kind of mustard yellow. Kind of reminds me of the Pittsburgh Pirates of that era, but a lot of information on those backs, a well laid out back of card. Again, some condition issues as well. There's Tom Dempsey. For the people that care. But big card this year would have been Terry Bradshaw. And I don't have the Terry Bradshaw card. I am probably, 80% maybe done this set as well. Dwayne Thomas, all that stuff. So I love these old football cards. And I'm getting to a top loader or two here. There's Ken Houston, Willie Lanier, some great players. There's Tarkenton again. Just some really, really great stuff. Here's one. This one's dedicated to our friend Orlando down there in South Florida. Look at this. This 71 was all right with, the action poses in baseball, but like this is fun. You could really get some fun stuff in football cards. Who's in the top loader? That's Bob Greasy. There's another one for Orlando. So, 71. AFC was in red. NFC was in blue. There's Joe Namath right there. He'd already kind of given up as a football player and was more of a spokesman at that point. Mark Mosley of the Eagles. Of course, he would, I believe, be a Super Bowl MVP at least at one point for the artist formerly known as the Redskins. 71 Topps game inserts. Let's look at these real quick. These kind of remind us of the 68 Topps game. Butkus, Bob Berry. There's OJ right there. Gail Sayers, Andy Russell. They use that picture a lot. Gene Washington. There's two Gene Washingtons that float around in the early 70s. Was one of them a Minnesota Viking? I'm not sure. Jerry Levias, Lenny Dawson, Bob Greasy, Danny Brownwich. There's Terry Bradshaw. That's the earliest Bradshaw card I have. Larry Wilson, Lance Allworth, and Bart Starr. And these kind of go with the posters that we'll see here in a minute. I don't know where my posters are. Yeah, I don't know where my posters are, but I got a bunch of tops. Oh, my posters are they're in top loaders back there, right? You guys have to remind me of that stuff. Showed the posters a while back. They're back there, tucked away. 72 football. We'll talk about 72 football here in a second. 71, of course, Orlando loves that. Once traded my Ditka rookie card for an OJ rookie card before all the legal issues. Sorry to hear about your legal issues. Not one of the best trades. I know. You're talking about OJ. OJ is still pretty popular, folks. I probably, over the collections I've bought in the past year, I probably sold 3 or 4 or 5 OJ Simpson rookies from 1970. So, yeah. Cooter is in an indoor sprint car race, so he can't hear a damn thing I'm saying. Okay, Cooter. Sorry to hear that, man. I hope you win. I hopefully you don't get stuck in the Malachi crunch. Larson, I don't know what we're saying. Matt Blair, you guys are just shouting out beautiful, beautiful football players. Mick Tinglehoff is in the Hall of Fame. Good teams. There's Garrow. Garrow was born in Cyprus, and his brother was awarded a football scholarship. I want to say Indiana or somewhere in Indiana or Illinois. And Garrow wanted to come along and play as well, but they wouldn't let him because he had already played like a semi-pro soccer league in England. So he was not allowed to come over and play. I don't know if it was football or soccer. Maybe it was soccer they came over to play. One got a scholarship. So the brother felt so bad, I think, that the brother pushed him to become an NFL kicker. And, mayhem ensues. And we know Garrow nearly lost the Super Bowl. And Garrow, they say, was the last guy to wear a face mask without a bar. It seems like there's a lot of people that have that claim, but he wasn't used to wearing a helmet. And then I'll tell you one more Gary Premium story. Gary Premium, apparently there was a little, the NFL was kind of a closed shop, right? So they didn't like foreign folks coming over and playing, apparently. So the coaches warned Garrow on his first kickoff to kick the ball and run to the sideline as fast as you can before somebody crunches you. And apparently he did that, but he ran to the wrong sideline, and then the other team just picked him up and threw him back out onto the field. So good times, good times. Mosley was a regular season MVP. That's pretty impressive for a kicker, for sure. 71 high numbers are a little harder to find, at least in the upper Midwest. But Scott, it gets worse than 72. Red light 34s here. How are you, sir? Larry Frisch had the market cornered on the 72 high numbers. Yeah, I mean, Gary, I'll get you one more here, Scott. Gary Larson was the 4th Purple People Eater with Page, Marshall, and Eller. I'm on record saying Jim Marshall belongs in the Hall of Fame. 72 Tops football. So I would love somebody to tell me out there in that era of the 60s and the 70s what the hardest high numbers are. I wouldn't doubt if it was 72 football. I know the mid 60s are tough. I know 72 can be tough and 71 can be tough. But I wonder where 72 football ranks in there because it's legendary. Most people just stop at whatever card 265. But anyway, 72 football is nothing to laugh at. Green and blue on the back with the gray backs. Beautiful cards, some great poses, some great rookies in here. Here is Archie Manning. I've sold a bunch of these, obviously, because of his sons and his grandson. Archie was kind of a horrible professional quarterback, but did all right in the bed, as they say. There's Joe Namath. So 72, there's a lot of landscape as well as portrait cards. I think Riggins is another one of those landscape cards, but it might have something to do with the team names because it's easier to get Jets down the side than it is Cardinals or Cards or whatever. So L.C. Greenwood, one of my favorite players from the 70s. Gale Sayers, of course. And there's Bradshaw. He's ready to go. Look at that full head of hair. He is just ready to make football history real soon. There's OJ. OJ has got a full head of hair as well. So some great cards in 72. Johnny U got rid of the flat top, playing Mr. Longhair there. And, of course, Staubach is the big one there. My LCS keeps calling me probably once a week asking if I have any subs, and I always say no. And this is one I have to send out because it's kind of a legendary card. So my last 72 Tops card is 263. Again, unless we get lucky, we don't know what if we're ever going to get past that. But some of these pretty cool action cards that they were also doing in 71, but 72 where they had the inaction. There's a nice shot of the Orange Bowl. Look at that. For those of us who grew up in a certain area, we remember palm trees in the end zone and all that. And it's interesting to note that even down in Florida, they had AstroTurf for a brief spell. So I'm wondering what that's all about. Maybe Orlando can expound on that. I know it was the latest and greatest thing, but seemed kind of odd to have that down there. 72, 73 Fleer cloth patches. Hold on, I'm struggling here, folks. So here's some cloth patches. And these were helmets along with team logos, but they didn't share. Like you wouldn't get Bears on Bears. It was always mixed up with somebody else, Patriots and Falcons. Maybe many would agree that that's the best Falcons helmet and uniform. There's the Raiders and the Saints. Look at the Lions. Interesting logo there. Steelers and Eagles together. Broncos and Redskins, and the Bills and Scrubs from Dallas. So Fleer, of course, we'll find out later that they did not have any, didn't have the NFL license. I'm sorry, they didn't have the player's license, but they had the NFL license, which is weird. So 73 Tops. I have most of 73 Tops. A fun design. This is when I really remember getting into football cards when I was a kid. So I think that's another great design. Unfortunately, the back suffers. I think the back, there's too much cartoon and not enough maybe statistical or biographical information on there. Here's Franco's rookie card. Great shot of him. His always looked like he was wearing a Packers jersey. That always looked dark green to me. But again, cartoon takes up a good third of that thing. Jack Ham, another rookie. Boy, the Steelers could draft back in the day, couldn't they? And so-and-so. So, again, I'm down to maybe a handful of these guys left. Let me get Joe Namath because this is a legendary card as well. Anybody running around with that reminds me kind of Tito Fuentes would wear a sweatband. Joe would wear his hat that said Joe. No doubt about whose ski cap that was. Johnny U is in there as a Charger, which makes a lot of people uncomfortable, including myself. Of course, he's depicted in his 3/4 length Colts jersey, but he's listed as a Charger. Another Staubach, number 2. Of course, Staubach, like you said, 72 is his rookie, even though he'd been playing for a while, but came on strong with some good cards. Let's see here. Got a Kenny Stabler. We don't talk about Kenny Stabler enough. One of the best left-handed quarterbacks in the NFL. Certainly better than Scott Mitchell. And then OJ's got a nice action. Of course, football is tough to get in action shots because of, they're moving, unlike baseball players. And they got helmets on and all that stuff. So that's that. 15 minutes left. I am going to stop at 72 or 73 for the football. It doesn't get much more exciting. There's some Wonder Bread stuff back here. I think I did an episode on Wonder Bread once, but Wonder Bread cards. There's Plunkett. Some fun cards from there. 74, 75. I'm sucking on 76 football. So that's something to work on. There's more 77 stickers. Real quick on the Fleer. Fleer did try to make some cards in football. 78. And again, teams, but they could not mention anybody's name, even on the back. There's mention on the back of Lehman Bennett, who was the coach, but there's no mention of the players. So have some players there, but no mentioning. Look at that. There's Walter Payton. And, of course, there's nothing on the back that tells you that's Walter Payton. It says 2 out of every 3 times the Bears had the ball. 77, they relied on their strong running game. One of their backs was the season's leading runner, topping the league in rushing with 1,852 yards, the 3rd highest total in NFL history. He also led the league in scoring with 96 points. His efforts and those of his Bear teammates took Chicago to the NFL playoffs for the first time 15 years. I believe Jack Pardee was the coach, and they beat the Eagles. Keep in mind, they didn't mention Walter Payton once in that blurb. So let me get some of my slabs out, okay? So these are the slabs that don't make it into my display cases. So let me get back to the chat here real quick, because I'm probably behind. Here. So Scott gave us a little intro to the 72 high numbers with Larry Frisch. High numbers start in 72. I want to say in the mid 260s. My last card is 263. So my mind, I think it's 265. It might be 264. I'm not sure. 72 football is the toughest. Very limited distribution in certain parts of the country. I always find it fascinating because we didn't. It's not like baseball was starting back up as competition. You get towards the end of the season. I think is it the 3rd series or is it the 2nd series? But anyway, it's interesting that people just lost interest in it, I guess. So never saw the high numbers in California. Archie was a good quarterback on terrible teams. I guess so. I mean, I guess so. But can you say the same about Spurrier in the pros? I mean, nobody's worse than the Buccaneers, right? When they came out. Never saw 72 high numbers in South Florida. It sounds like they were all up in Wisconsin, according to Scott. 72 tops 3rd series is extremely hard to find. Good luck completing that set. I never saw a single card as a kid growing up. So it sounds like one of those backdoor deals. And it's amazing that these guys, if there was a backdoor deal, it's amazing that the people had the foresight to hoard this stuff and know that it would be collectible. Same thing happened, I think, with the 75 tops minis. Somebody grabbed a bunch of those. Namath was my guy, and he has a card in the high numbers. I find it interesting. I always stereotype Yankees fans as Giants fans and Mets fans as Jets fans. So you cross-pollinated there, Mickey. Palm trees and a real dolphin in the end zone. How awesome is that down there at the Orange Bowl? 72 high number football is the hardest to find, going back to the 52 tops, maybe the 60 leaf. That's crazy. I do have a bunch of the early 60 leaves, but not the latter series. As a kid, I took those stickers apart and matched the 2 parts into the same team on one sticker. I have a lot of them kind of falling apart, so I put them in the top loaders real quick. penny sleeves, just to make sure they don't separate anymore. The glue isn't very good. I am not a fan of backs with only 1 year of stats. Ruined 71 baseball backs for me. I agree with you, Dan. That's why I don't like the 73 Topps football. Like I said, the 70 and the 71 and the 72s are nice, but 73, not so much. I like it all laid out there. I like to see everything. 71 Topps baseball. People love Topps baseball from 1971. I found some flaws. I do think that there's a lot of I found some flaws in the back. I just don't appreciate the backs that much. Yeah. Let's see. Johnny didn't like the cigarettes being passed around at the charges. Is that a true story, Scott? Think about that, man. You go from Baltimore and out to sunny California where all the potheads and long hairs are and stuff like that. 73 was Stabler's rookie. I think that that's a wonderful rookie card. He was battling it out with LaMonica at that point, I assume, right? MJH821 also hates the 1 year stat lines. The only 72 high series card I have is Larry Brown Pro Action. Interesting, Terry. Good call on that. I need to start a 72 Topps football set. Well, red light, go to that 70s card store on eBay. I have a bunch of 70s, 71, 72s, and I'm putting together some 73 starter sets. So if you're interested, hop on there. 75 minis in California, no problem. Good to hear that. I just remember somebody saying that there was some issues, or is it somebody hoarded a bunch of them, but a bunch of cases in Michigan. All right. So answer to our question. Anybody want to put one last in there for amount of slabs I own? Again, I don't have that many, but I guess I have more than most of you guys thought. I have 150 slabs, and I'm not a slab collector. So let's just remember that to be the case. Let me see what I can do here. Just trying to cut down on some of this glare. So I will tell you that the first two and only two, I guess, T206s I've had for probably 40 years now. So they're slabbed. I got them slabbed a couple of years back, but I had these unslabbed for probably 40 years. Al Shaw from the Providence folks up there, and Jake Stahl. So Hunky Shaw and Jake Stahl. He's a Boston American. So those are those. I've got two of the T207 brown backs. Here's Clyde Milan. This looks nice in this. I'm a SGC snob, but this looks pretty nice in these frosted slabs. I guess you can't see it very well. So that's Clyde Milan. These are brown backs, and he's with Washington Senators. And T207 brown background, Robert Harmon. This is a 6MC. I don't know why we're putting qualifiers on tobacco cards. I've got a couple of the 52 Bowmans that are slabbed. George Strickland, he's a Pirate, I guess. Walt Masterson, he's a Bo Sox. Look at those glasses. He's got some glasses going there. So fun stuff there. And he signs his name going up the side of the card, which is fun. So here's a 53 Feller. Almost done my 53 set. I say almost, I mean, it's going to be a minute. There's a Roy Campanella, 53. Here is an Ed Arout. I may have gotten some of these from my friend out there in Nebraska. Gus Nieros. That's, again, I always say that this guy was the first 52 Topps card I had. So that's that. Getting into 54. Have some 54 slabs. I'm closing in on that set as well. Ed McGee. And these are like, just so you know, everybody, most of these folks are scrubs because if you're pretty good, you're in a display case here at the Keating basement. 54 Topps, Bob Ross. Not that Bob Ross. There's a Monty Irvin. 55, there's Stan Hack. Jim Finnegan, he's probably Irish. Bill Taylor. And there's a 56 Harmon Kilber. So we're getting into 56. And now 56 is an interesting thing. I have the whole set. And obviously I have some of the good guys behind me. But here's Aparicio. The set I have is mostly fives, which is fun. It's Ernie Banks, Warren Spahn. Most of the set I got from the same cat. There's Smokey Austin right there. He's a 5. Yogi Berra, he's a 5. Phil Rizzuto for the Money Store, that's a 5. Let's see here. I have most of the Hall of Famer slab from 55. Al Kaline, 5. Pee Wee Reese is a 2. Now, it's a 2 because right up there you can see a circle 4 on there, so that's a 2. Otherwise, it would be a 5. Larry Doby, it's a 5. Whitey Ford's a 3.5, so he was a bit of an outlier. Elston Howard, he's a 5. Duke Snyder, he's a 4. Bob Feller, he's a 5. So that takes me out of the 56s. And let's get the 58. I have the complete 58 set. And of course, I have Mantle and Maris behind me. And I'm not sure who else I have slabbed. Aaron back there, all that stuff. Al Kaline, it's a 3. And then we get into some of the boring stuff and some fun stuff. Billy Williams rookie card, it's a 6.5. Duke Snyder, 61. 5. Willie McCovey is a 7. 64 McCovey. And then we have some of this fun stuff. So we have Larry Smith again with the wisp of hair over his head. 71, I think. Lee in Chicagoland got me that. And Claude Humphrey, he played for the Super Bowl Philadelphia Eagles back in 1981 against the one of the Raiders clubs. There's a Darryl Dawkins from 86 Fleer. That's a 5. Now, this is where it gets real fun. This is a 1998 team best Troy Gloss. It's a 9, which if it's a vintage card, that's equivalent to like a 2.5. Here's a BCC 1990 Fred McGriff. Fred McGriff, 9. He's a Blue Jay. He's at Fenway Park. And this card is probably worth $1 million. And the only Gem Mint 10 I have in mind is a 98 team best Rick Ankiel Gem Mint 10. So that's my also rans slabs, the ones that didn't make it into the. I know you're wondering why Rick Ankiel isn't in one of my display cases, but just waiting on more room, I guess. I gotta expand the basement, perhaps. So that's that. That's my slabs. That's the good, the bad, the ugly when it comes to slabs. There's the half of the 70 baseball or 70 football cards I have, and then some oddball stuff as well. So let me put these guys back. I'm running out of like random stuff to show everybody. So I know I do have a 2-row shoebox back there with nothing but Jordan cards, a couple hundred Jordan cards. So maybe we'll do that as a fun time and we can talk more in between. But I keep my slabs in the little plastic protectors, whatever we call them, perfect fit or superior fit. I keep them in there just to make sure everybody's safe and not getting scratched and all that stuff. And so, 151 slabs, I think. Some of them are big. I have a Pink Floyd one that's pretty big that Eric from Those Back Pages gave me at the National in appreciation for a favor I did for him. I have a Yastrzemski Perez Steel. Why did I say Rosie Perez? Perez Steel autograph thing back there. But other than that, most of my stuff is normal slabs, except for my 75 OPG Herb Washington. Slab condoms, yes. Dan, I'm going to tell you, I'm a little worried about your slab setup. And we might as well talk about it now. I'm just worried that you're getting too much UV light on your stuff. So perhaps you can tell me to stand down. It's none of my concern. Everything's okay, but I just worry about that light hitting the display case behind you. So please tell me everything's okay so I can finally get a good night's sleep. Uncle's named Jim Finnegan. We didn't run with any Finnegans. They must have been from a different part of Ireland or Philadelphia, but we had no Finnegans. Sexton, you're here. We're getting ready to get out of here. Slab condoms. What shape would you say 72 football cards are? I peg them as 3 to 5. Some are 5s, some are 3s, some have little creases. Again, these are ones that I don't keep in my collection, red light. But there's a lot of 5s. There may be a beater or two if it's a really good player. I don't know where I have Greasy. I might have Greasy in that 72, and he might be a beater. But they're pretty good cards. I mean, I think there are 3 to 5s, and that's kind of my speed anyway. So some might even exceed that, but we get pretty picky on grading. But there's a couple pictures in there, and I can show you some stuff offline if you want to. Before committing, you can reach out to me, and we can look through there. So light is a concern, and you're absolutely right. I'm moving to a different. All right, that's good to hear, Dan, because I'm in the basement. I have 2 windows in my basement, and they're blocked with one of them's blocked because it's in the storage room. The other one has slats on it and all that stuff. So there's no light that penetrates down here. So yeah, get that sorted out. Terry's got a bunch of boxes of 91 Jordan Valentine cards that came with some perforated cards. I was surprised to see that PSA grades them. PSA does that. How do they do on perforations? Do they tell you that they're hand cut or miscut or whatever? I always thought that was funny when they say hand cut. Of course they're hand cut, like Hostess stuff and post stuff and all that stuff. But perforations, I don't know how you would grade those. Again, I think that's one of the flaws of grading is I think cards should be authenticated, but not necessarily graded. If you listen to Bench Clear today, you'll hear Mike Moynihan talk about that on Golden Age of Cardboard. And I was fuming the entire episode, so I'm building up the courage to leave some comments regarding grading. So anyway, that's that. I'm getting out of here. It's 7 o'clock. Wife's coming home from yoga soon. My son just got home from snowboarding. And you guys, gals, all that stuff, take it easy. And I'll leave it up to you. Should I play a little Led Zeppelin on the way out here? All right, I'll try it. Let's do it. Here we go.